Hello, welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast. For the last podcast of the season is our season review. We're going to go through all the highs, all the lows. We'll be trying to be as positive as possible. By the way, try being the operative word. But as you can see, I'm joined by Sam, Melvin, and Andrew. How you doing, guys?
Hi, guys.
Watcher,
Good evening.
how you all doing?
I'm okay. Good to see you guys.
And you?
I'm still recovering from Sunday, but still.
Bet you are.
Oh, dear. Bumped into Melvin as well. Kevin Campbell. Yeah, the usual.
As usual, lads. Yeah.
What are you more excited about, Russ? Right.
Russ.
I said on Twitter, it was very nice of you to stop and let Kevin have a photo with you, mate.
Well, I have to, don't I? Keep up the public image.
You don't want to become all diva-ish and start avoiding your photo opportunities with your fans.
Well, no, God forbid I don't do that now. I have to fucking pack after me in a minute. If you know, you know. But yeah, let's get into it. I mean, we finished fifth. Start of the season, we would have taken that, but does it to get into it? Does it hurt more that we didn't get full because it was that lot that got pipped us to it? If it had been anyone else in our rival in the rival side of things, like Man United or Wolves or Leicester or whoever, if it had been any of them apart from Tottenham, would it have been as painful to take as this is? Let's start with Sam with that one.
It is more painful that Spurs have got it. I think that's pretty clear for everyone, every Arsenal fan. You know, Spurs, the scum, the arch rivals, the arch nemesis. I think pretty much any other team would have been okay. Well, you know what I mean, like more acceptable than Spurs, because it gives them a little bit of an edge over us again, doesn't it? That's 6 years or something. We haven't finished above them or something like that.
Yeah, 6 years.
So, you know, it keeps them a bit more vocal than they should be. You know, we can't just put them back in their box as we normally do, get back in, where you belong. But, of course it does hurt. And for me personally, the way the season, sort of went, I think it was a big disappointment not to get fourth. You know, it was in our hands for a long time, really, and to bottle it, which was what we really did, and let them get it. Yeah, to me, it became a bit of a sore spot at the end there.
I was thinking about it today as well. I think about it today myself. I'm thinking the fact that the injuries to who we are, again, it's the usual suspects when it comes to Arsenal. Someone's part in Tierney. Them two injuries in particular coming out around about the same time. One of them thanks to Scotland, the fucking twats. I think that come back to bite us massively because in terms of Tierney, with all due respect, you've got Cedric, who's mainly been playing on the right-hand side, back at Tomiyasu. So even he's been overplayed as a squad player. And the only really alternative then is Tavares, who isn't, as me and Melvin were saying on the way back to Anderson Stadium, my brother, he ain't a left-back. He's more of a winger. He's more attack-minded than he is anything else. Which went to prove it later on in the day when he had like 2 shots over the bar in the second half. And yeah. But if we'd had injuries to, say, the less experienced players, do you think we still bottled it? Or do you think we would have bottled it anyway, even with them players in place?
If you're talking to me, I think we would have had a better chance, of course, with our first team, because we were playing well with our first team players. That's when we had our best period, when we had all the the Tomiyasu and Kieran Tierney back with Ayn. They're all working together. That's when we had our best period of the season. As soon as we lost Tierney and especially Tomiyasu as well, things went a bit south. And that's when we really saw how thin our squad was. Unfortunately, that's the gamble they took in January, and it came back to bite us in the arse big time towards the end of the season, with players running out of steam and injuries, etc. We should have definitely had more players to choose from at a higher level for our squad. Unfortunately, we didn't, and that definitely came back to bite us in the arse. Definitely did. So yeah, to answer the question, I do think we would have been in a better place and probably got fourth if we'd been able to keep those players, because I think they're stronger mentally as well. I think we would have had a better chance of finishing fourth.
I think in terms of the size of our squad as well, before we move on to the other guys, the size of our squad was really telling back in January when we had the AVCON come around. We knew that was coming anyway, but when that came around, we lost Partey, El Neni, Pepe. And then we had a few we had a suspension from Gabriel after New Year's Day. Xhaka was coming back from a big injury, a long-term injury. And we started, from January onwards, we just filled our bench mostly with kids that never got a chance to come on because even Arteta knew that they weren't going to be. It was unfair on them to put that sort of pressure on them in the last knockers of the season. It was just to fill the bench, and it's just, I don't know. It just felt like, I keep saying it, going over the Dusan Vlahovic side of things. It just seemed like we had one plan in mind of getting him over the line first, and then anything else would have been a bonus to the club. Really, there's no sort of, and when that fell through, there was no sort of plan B backup to that. Whereas we've seen with Denmark down the road, they didn't get, was it 3 options they didn't get till they got into, was it Kulivaski and the other guy from Juventus? Till they got them two, there's 3 players that turned them down, but they had backup. My point is they had a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, where we just went, Dusan. They always fell through. We have to make do with what we've got. And in terms of striking options, we let Aubameyang go, and rightly so. Again, I've completely backed it from day one, the way we let him go. Because he weren't, for Piers Morgan, if you're watching this, or anyone that's fucking Aubameyang on the fucking bandwagon, Aubameyang hadn't performed for the club for over a year and a half, actually, to the day he left. It was a year and a half. He signed a contract, and he fell off a fucking cliff. And all the excuses, he's got, was it malaria, his mum's ill, he's got COVID, he's got this, he's got that. It's like, how many more excuses can he do? And he needs to, he didn't turn up for a North London derby on time, had a kick-off over that. We got dropped. He's constantly causing friction within the dressing room, apparently. And he's when he asked to go off to France for the weekend to look after his mum, he gets told, "Be back by this day." He comes back a day, 24 hours late, and tells no one. And people expect him to still be at the club, like, "Oh, okay, that's cool, yeah." But he weren't scoring the goals. If he was scoring the goals, the reaction we get from the fans, certain fans from our fan base, I could understand, but we weren't getting nothing from him. And I think that if I'm being brutally honest here, we would be no better off with Aubameyang still at this club if he had remained off from January till now. We'd be no different. But people want to suit their agenda. I mean, we've got more. It's the last knockers of the season and all that. He's playing for a contract either here or wherever, Eddie. But we've got more out of Eddie in the last few months of the season. Don't we got know what we got out of Aubameyang for a year and a half? And one of them's a fucking youth player, still. And what does that say about Aubameyang himself? So that's why I sort of praise Arteta and Arsenal for doing the right thing there in that moment. But it was just like, again, not just Aubameyang, but also Ainsley going, and even that's a sort of sacrificing Sambi to the Lambs in January because he was literally just on his own. And it was just like round. Square pegs and round holes, basically. Like, Odegaard will drop in. It never suited him before, and it weren't going to suit him then. It backfired. It was just so frustrating as a fan. And again, I'm not saying we should go out and get anyone, but surely we had more than one player in mind. Yeah. I mean, Melvin, what are your thoughts on what's happening this season?
Well, it just showed that the first 12 players that we've got are much better than the level below. And that's the problem. We couldn't rest any players, couldn't afford to rest anybody because it would have showed holes in our team on the day. We've got to a stage now, it's so competitive now, you can't have any passengers. And if we're going to have one or two players that are not, no fault of their own, they're just not up to it for their inexperience or they're injured or they're just not good enough, it's going to show. And then the opposition are going to hit us with it. So when we didn't do anything in January, just one way out and don't bring anybody in, I think the writing was on the wall. We were hoping the season ended quicker than it did, and we just got over the line before we had a couple of injuries. And it never happened. We had 3 big injuries, and 3 injuries in our squad is enormous. It's 24% of our squad. It ain't 3 out of 25. It's 3 out of 12 because you can't count the 25, and it's made enormous hole. You know, the Tommy was a big miss. Tierney's a big miss. They're all big miss. Even White at the end of the season didn't play with him. Partey. I mean, it's just like an accident waiting to happen, and 3 accidents did happen. So it's not surprising. It's a shame it happened, but you're playing against all the odds. The odds are all wrong. You know, you've got to have every player playing at the top of their level and not get injured. Well, that ain't going to happen. It doesn't happen with other clubs. It surely ain't going to happen with our club. And that's why it cost us. And if you ask the first question you asked, were we more upset because it was Spurs? Of course, on a rivalry basis, of course we're more upset because they've got one over on us again. But I'd have been more upset if Wolves or Leicester or a team like that would have beaten us on the run-in with all the money we've spent. I'd have been more upset on that basis. Spurs, like it or not, have got one of the best striking partners in Europe. They can score goals for fun. They move. This geezer they bought in January as well has improved them no end, and they do move it very quickly. And they are dangerous, and we're not. And so therefore, we got beat. I hope I'm allowed to come on Arsenal podcast. We got beat by, at the end of the season, a better team. To be quite honest, a better team. Yes, they had the luck with them against when we played them, but overall, the last 4 or 5 games, they have been a better team than us in the run. Whether we bottled it or they've just gone up a notch, I don't know. Their manager has made the difference as well. So, yes, I'm upset we got beat about because it's Spurs, but I've been more upset being beat by a team that I don't rate. And I do, to a horrible degree, rate Spurs.
Also, I think what went in their favour down the road is that they've got players, they've got a squad of experience that knows how to get over that line, so to speak, in years gone by. Whereas we are going into the season with the youngest squad, all that crap, but youngest squad wise, our players, none of our players, you can say, apart from the likes of Granit or Thomas Partey was injured anyway. Tierney, who's done it at Celtic experience wise, but he was injured. So everything was pretty much in the last knockers of the season, the last few games, was put on Granit in terms of experience of knowing how to. Apart from him,
does he know how to go over the line? Granit knows how to go over the line.
What's that?
Does Granit know how to get over the line? I'm not too
no,
sure
as in experienced personnel. He's in terms of having that experience, that knowledge, and whatever we even fucking called it. But in terms, apart from him, in the last knockings of the season, it was literally the likes of Ramsdale, the Gabriels, the Ben Whites, of all due respect, haven't been at this point. This is completely new to them. This is a nucleus as well, as a team. This is completely new to them, and they're going to learn from it. I mean, what was it, the year Leicester won the title? Tottenham fell away in the last knockings of the season because their lack of experience in that situation. So it's the same here. In this, I know it's different in terms of that was a title match. This is not. But our players will learn from that. I mean, what was it? Our top goal scorers were fucking 20 and 21 respectively in Saka and Smith Rowe. And one of them has been a benchwarmer most of the season. I mean, so again, that shows we're lacking in terms of a striker, but in terms of our whole squad as a whole, it was a youngest squad and all that, but it's that reason why I think we fell away in this, not just in the injuries as well. But in terms of the inexperience in the squad, it's when the pressure got to them, they crumbled it in the last couple of games. Two of the last 3 games they crumbled. When the pressure was off on Sunday, we saw that they were capable of, obviously, because they knew it was out of their hands. Whatever happens, has happened, sort of thing. And that's not their fault per se, but I'm just saying that obviously there is a reason behind gaining experience, and obviously they've gained that, and hopefully, touch wood, with a few additions in this summer now, the players that are here at the moment will learn from that and gain from that and kick up and hopefully go one better next season. Because that's the thing now. Like Chris says in the chat, he's a Liverpool fan. The project is on the up. There's hiccups on the way. I'm a Liverpool fan. He saw this with Klopp when Klopp first came in, and that's pretty much what I've been trying to say. With there's people that have been sort of hardcore. No matter what, from day one, I'll take her out, and I'm just like, even though I've gone down that route and I've sort of on the fence at the moment, because I can see there's something there with what we're trying to do as a club, the ones that are sort of hardcore or will not back down, they're not getting it. When Klopp came in, look how long it took him. What was it? 2-3 seasons before he got to a Champions League final. Four seasons before they won the league. So it wasn't an easy overturn. And when they won that Champions League, only 3 players that he inherited remained at that club. It's down to 2, I think, now. With Origi going, I think it's like Lallana and not Lallana, Henderson and one other that remains from when he first took over.
Milner, it must be.
Milner,
Yeah.
that's it. But yeah, I mean, Andrew, I'll bring you in now because you've been patient enough for the last 16 minutes. I'll bring you in and get your thoughts on all this, what's been said so far.
Yeah. Firstly, Melvin, have you been doing your passport photo or something?
What's that?
The white background.
Really behind me.
Yeah, because of a nice plain background.
I tell you what, I just moved into a flat.
Ah, okay.
I was going to
Okay.
stick this up, but I couldn't find any sellotape.
Anyway, what was the question? Bloody hell, been waiting. Completely forgot.
That's just basically your thoughts on the season.
Yeah, no,
Basically what's been said so far.
I mean, before I go on to like the disappointments and that, but everyone's talking like we've just been relegated or something. I mean, it's so distressing, like the opening part of this podcast. But there are some good things that have happened. But yeah, I mean, it's Spurs. I mean, I don't quite agree that they've got a better team. They hit form at the right time, Kane and Son. I mean, Kane, when he finally got over throwing his toys out the pram after Christmas or something and actually started scoring a goal, because he scored about 1 goal before Christmas, I think. And then he just got into a run, him and Son, and they were the difference. So they started banging in goals and we couldn't just compete with that. And that's what made them better than us at the end of the season, and we did run out of steam. So it's I mean, they've got the players that they've got to come in. I mean, they were quite lucky with injuries, Spurs as well, and we weren't lucky with injuries. But the players they've got to come in are much more experienced and have been around the block a few times. The Spurs players, so. Yeah, I think, but as regards to a better team, I think if we had our first choice 11 and they had their first choice 11, we'd probably sneak it like we did earlier on in the season. But that showed at the end of the day, and we just fell 2 points short. But I don't think it was the game against them. I don't think it was the game against Newcastle even that did it for us. I think we were just too past it by then. But at that point in the season, and I think it was the earlier games, things like the first game against Everton and the game right beside it against Man United. Those games, we were actually playing brilliant football at that point. We should have won the Man United game easy. I still to this day can't understand how we lost that game. If we'd have won that game like we should have done, we'd be top 4 now. And then everyone knows what happened in that first Everton game. That was the worst game of the season, I think. And
that was bizarre. That was completely bizarre. They hadn't won in months.
If we played that 99 more times, we'd have probably won, most of them. It's just absolutely typical. They were the 2 games, really, because we were flying at that point, and they were just inexplicable, the way that they turned out. We shouldn't have had to be relying on the last couple of games of the season to get it, to be fair. So they're the main things, really, that did it. But, to finish where we did after the start we had is pretty phenomenal, really. It's just, I think it's just a disappointment that took the wind out of our sails the way it happened the last few games of the season. But it shouldn't be any surprise, really. I think when the league has finally finished and everyone's, locked the door and chucked away the key, you finish where you deserve to finish. So over the whole entire season, we've probably got to come around par, if we're looking at the golf terminology, to be honest. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, I mean, look again, since Sunday, I've been looking at going into the last 10 games, it was obviously in our hands. And then we look at it, 10 games, we lost 5 of our last 10, and that's just, obviously, again, let's go back to the inexperience, the when the pressure was on, the players just didn't beat the team they should have beat. I mean, Palace away on a Monday night was always going to be difficult. Under the lights, the Vieira aspect as well. But what was it? I think they're Brighton at home and Southampton back to back. I think they're the ones that put the nail in the coffin, and we sort of clung on after that with the four wins on the trot against Chelsea, United, West Ham, and Leeds. They sort of held us on and still kept us in it somewhat in our hands. But I think again, Brighton at home we shouldn't be losing to. With all due respect, they're a decent team, don't get me wrong, but they're not the finished article themselves, and they were out of form. So they don't want in God knows how long. They hadn't scored in weeks. I engaged to watch long, and then Southampton away. I mean, again, like you say about Everton away early on in the season, we played that game. The way we played, the amount of chances we had, play that game again another 99 times. We win that game majority of the time because literally the amount of chances we did create chances just weren't fucking going in that game. And it just popped like they had one opportunity and then just sat back and hope for the best. And Fraser Forster against Arsenal, whenever we play Arsenal, I mean, play Southampton or Fraser Forster's team, he comes into fucking prime Neuer.
And you have to blame Leicester a little bit as well for us not being top four, for conceding 3 goals against Spurs in injury time when they were 2-0 up.
When they're 2-0 up with in the 90th minute with 6 minutes to go.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Right.
But yeah, sorry, can I just say one other thing as well? And I've seen a couple of comments as well that sort of agree with me. I don't think we've bottled it. I just literally think we just wrung the sponge dry. I think they've never been in this position before, most of our players, and including like players like obviously Gabriel White, who are that little tiny bit older, but they still haven't had that kind of experience to see us over the line. I think when everything's all done and dusted in the next few days and they've all come back off the holidays, they're going to be better players because of what's happened this season, because of going through it all. These young players have got and having this experience. They're only going to learn from it.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to say earlier, because obviously comparing, sadly, to them when they bottled 2 race against us and finished third in the last day of the season and all that jazz. They fell off. Once they lost the title that season, they couldn't. The rest of won the title. They just fell off a cliff. And I think that's not in the terms of us falling off a cliff. It wasn't because he'd lost it. We just run out of juice. It's the experience of this team as a squad as a whole. We had, as I say, from January all the way to the last day of the season, we're putting 3 to 4 under 23s on our bench just to fill the bench up. That showed how thin our squad was, even before the injuries came along in January all the way through till now. So that there's room for improvement from all aspects and players, and the players will learn from that. Arteta will learn from that. Touch wood. And the good news today is Oil touched on some good news. So that Arteta's confirmed after he's let the media for the last few days just round off a load of bollocks about Saliba wanting to stay at fucking Marseille. He's come out today and saying no, he's coming back. Right. He's a big part of it. The whole point of him going out was to get the experience. If he stayed on this season that's just gone, he would not have got ahead of Ben White and Gabriel, so he would have gained nothing from this season as a whole. Whereas now he's gone out, gained some European experience and league experience, first team, first day, week in, week out. So yeah, he's going to be first. And someone's put a photo up. Apparently, it's linked on the website. I think it's been changed since, but his squad number is going to be number 2 next season. But yeah, Arteta's basically saying no, he's going nowhere. He's part of my plans. He's part of the club's plans. This is our future.
He's got WS2 on his boots. He's got this WS2 brand now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So there's no doubt he's going to get the number 2 shirt.
But that's my point. In terms of that, we're going to have so next season, in terms of assuming Holding's still there, even if I don't know is Holding still under contract with us after this summer?
One more year, I think.
One more year. Assuming unless we extend his contract or sell him, whatever, I don't know what's going to go on there. But still, Stevens going to come in and straight away, he's providing competition. He's putting pressure on Ben White and Gabriel to keep their place, basically. Because if not, he knows he's hungry enough to want to jump in and grab onto that and not let go. And again, I want us to have that competition. I don't want us to be in that position where we have 2 centre backs that are settled and think they're safe. They need to players in all positions, by the way, need to know there's someone that even as good, if not better than you, waiting in the wings to take over you if you step up. I think that's another reason why certain players fell off near the end of the season as well, because their positions were safe, with all due respect. I mean, Saka's been running to the ground, let's be honest, in terms of there's no evident digs at him, because he's been running to the ground over the last 2.5 years. Carrying this team when he's back, when he's meant to be learning. But the likes of your Martinelli's and things like playing. Again, I think Martinelli's played more than I think what he even planned to be playing this season, even though he would have wanted to play this sort of amount of games. El Neni, good squad player, but again, I think Melvin said in the Tottenham watch long, we saw the El Neni we saw in years gone by, whereas beforehand, obviously, you're performing well, it's fantastic, and Cedric again playing more games because there's no squad depth. It wasn't that you couldn't rotate because certain players were getting injured constantly, and that for a long time. And obviously Cedric, even though he did well, don't get it wrong, he did okay in most of the games. There were a couple of games where it's a bit, but he still put a shift in. I think if it had been a full, like no injuries until after Tomiyasu Partey and Tierney, you know them sort of players aren't going to be benched no matter what, unless they have an absolute fall off a cliff moment in terms of form. They're not getting dropped. Ramsdale, again, he's done nothing wrong this season. He's come in, even he said, I'm number one a year ahead of what I thought I'd be. And obviously Leno came in and deputised against Villa. But there's certain players, like in terms of the partnership, apart from Holding, coming in or from the bench or whatever, who was there to come in as a centre-back back up to we're going into that last game of the season thinking, fuck, because we thought we had no Gabriel, we thought we had no Ben White and all that. We're thinking, well, how are we going to cover this one? Put a square peg in a round hole next to Holding, which wouldn't have worked. And I think that's where the club, and I think the club know this, they're going to address, hopefully. They're looking at, look at the players we're linked with as well. The Tielemans were very hard. Like, we want him this time. We don't want to mess about. We want to get him over the line. That'll be a massive improvement in midfield. And again, that provides competition. Even if Xhaka stays or goes, or whoever stays or goes, they know there's someone there in the wings waiting to take their spot. And I think that's been lacking over the last few years. Players are too comfortable, and I think now is the right time to add more talent, more depth, but not just for the sake of depth, but actually provide proper competition, because it keeps everyone on their toes. I mean, you guys might disagree with me now, but that's my thoughts. But yeah.
And just about Tierney as well, just a couple of things from Albinho. Two things. In the Premier League, win percentage with Tierney has been 52% with him starting and 43% without. However, since he's been with the club, he's only played 56% of the Premier League matches because of injury. So that's the biggest problem we've got is with our back five. I think we're as strong as a lot of the teams in the Premier League, but they've only played 10 games together, the back five, since the whole season. That's obviously Tomiyasu, Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Gabriel, White, and Tierney. They've only played 10 games together. Yeah. So that's the big problem when you haven't got a settled defence. So we've said this. How long have we been going on about a settled defence? It's not just the back two. Luckily, the back two have been pretty solid until towards the end of the season. They've hardly missed any games. But the fullbacks are a big part of the team. We know how important like Tomiyasu's been since he's come in, and obviously Tierney. But it's a massive worry that they are not available as often as we would like.
Yeah, Tierney's been an issue since he came to the club. This is not news.
Well, that stat says it all, doesn't it? Just over half of all the games he could have played.
It's not news. It's not news that Tierney, I think we need to start to think what we're going to do about him, because how do you plan, for a future with a player you can't use? I mean, that's the thing. You got to, at some stage, you're going to have to say, do we cut our losses and, go for someone else? I see Hickey's. I see we're very close to signing Hickey now. Apparently, we've agreed a according to the reports today, we agreed a fee with Bologna.
He looks very, very good.
We're close to signing him now, getting him over the line. He's apparently had a very good season for Bologna.
Tomiyasu as well.
He looks excellent. He does.
So at some point you got to. I mean, you can't plan. With a player who's never going to be there. We just have to be. Again, we need to stop being so. What's it called? Sentimental with all these players and everything. At the end of the day, we're Arsenal Football Club. It's about winning games. It's about getting the best out of everyone. And you can't just think, it's Kieran Tierney, so we have to try and keep him for as long as possible. Well, if he's never playing, if he's always injured, no, we don't want another DRB.
Well, the thing he was responding,
without even using him.
Yeah, he was. Warbinho was responding to a tweet by Lace on Twitter, and Lace put an exclusive saying Newcastle are weighing up a £50 million bid for Arsenal defender Kieran Tierney, because Eddie Howe ponders. He really likes him, and he's pondering bidding for him. I have to say, I love Kieran Tierney.
Yeah,
everything about him, I love him. But 50 million quid. I would sell him for 50 million quid.
He's injury prone, he's injury record and all that.
He's a liability in terms of his fitness.
Yeah.
I hate using that word because of Kieran Tierney being a liability, but I know exactly what you mean, because it's a big problem. We can't go on being sort of nice about players that we really like personally. We have to be ruthless. We have to be ruthless.
We all want the best for our players, of course we do. We all want everyone to succeed as much as possible. Of course we do, because that is the best for Arsenal Football Club. But at the end of the day, you have to get to a point where you look at the truth, you look at the actual what's in front of you. And Kieran Tierney, unfortunately, I love the kid as well. He's Tesco bag and he's in the t-shirts in the snow, and he's got that winning mentality. He's got that captain mentality. Fantastic player when he's fit and at his best. Absolutely, probably one of the best left backs in the world when he's in form. But the guy can never play 4 or 5 football games in a row. And you can't have that. You've got to have some. This is the thing we've been going on about now for several seasons with Arsenal, especially under Arteta. You need stability. We need consistency, and you need stability. And if you've got a player who can't play 3 or 4 games in a row, who's a key player, you're not going to get stability. You're not going to get consistency. So at some point, we just have to be ruthless and realize we love Kieran Tierney, but sorry, you're too much of a liability fitness-wise. We can't rely on you to move on. We have to get in another left back who's going to give us something similar.
Well, I've been watching a lot of that Aaron Hickey, and he's a very, very exciting player. So he would be a really, really good addition. Yes, he'll be a risk. I call signings are a risk at the end of the day because he's not played in the Premier League before. But I tell you what, that kid can do a lot of different stuff. He can play in a lot of different positions, but he's a very, very good left back. Scored quite a few goals this season as well, unbelievably.
Well, that helps.
From the left back position. Yeah, it does. Even if it's like 3, 4, even 5 goals, that's a big help, like Gabriel's been this season.
Yeah, a lot.
But we need to. I mean, the old stock market cliche. We need to sell players when their stock is at their very highest.
Newcastle are flush now, right? Newcastle got tons of money.
Exactly.
If they want to come to us and say, "We'll give you 50 million for Tierney," I agree with you, Andrew. I say, "There you go. There he is."
Exactly.
There's his Tesco bag and his boots. There he goes.
I'll stick a bow on him as well, and you can have him definitely. And like I said, I absolutely hate having to talk like that about him because I love the guy.
Yeah,
but you can't. You can't take these risks. And I saw James put in the chat just a while ago saying, "I'd rather not strengthen a rival," but are you strengthening a rival when you're selling? When he's not available for 50% of the time. It's
and that is if you think about it. I think Newcastle now, in the position they're in now, when I think about it, they're in this position where they're getting money. They have to transform their squad, and they're sort of figuring out where they are and what they can do. You know,
What
what
it
kind
would
of
it wanna
players
be
can
as
they
well.
really attract? What kind of, you know, they're in this in between position. They're not there yet, you know, in the full Man City mode where they can just go out and choose a Haaland or whatever and just get whoever they want. They're in between. They have to sort of pick and choose who they can get. Maybe they can get that person. Maybe they can get that player. You know, they're in between. And I think Tierney for them is probably a good target because he's at that level where they can take a risk with it. They've got all the money. They don't care. So they can take a risk with it. They can blow, you know, inverted commas,
Yeah.
blow 50 million on him and not use him for half a season because they've got the money to do that, right?
Yeah, that's what Man City do, don't they? They don't have to sell their players to buy.
No.
So, but they are losing their left back, don't forget, aren't they? Because he's only been on loan from
Exactly.
Aston Villa. So it's a very, very strong rumour in that case. Because they
crap left back as well, wasn't he? Was it Target, isn't it?
Target, yeah, Matt
Yeah,
Target.
he's shit. He's absolute crap. So
So-
they want a left back, definitely.
It certainly makes sense. And and Stan's saying he won't go to Newcastle, but if you think about it, Newcastle was virtually on the Scottish border. Well, that's a fact, isn't it?
Enough money.
Perfect weather
Enough
for
them
it.
enough money.
It's not
And
too far from his home in Glasgow. It's
if
not.
Arteta at the end of the day, if Arteta and do at the end of the day, sit him down and say, "Listen, Tierney, we love you to bits, but you know, your fitness, it's a worry. You know, if we're not going to get more than 15, 20 games out of you a season, you know, sorry, it's just not worth it. You know, it's just at the end of the day, you just have to be realistic."
But it does make a lot of sense, and I wasn't joking when I just said that. It's literally within driving distance of Glasgow.
It would make sense
Not
geographically. Of course, it would. You know, he could earn a lot of money there. He could probably do well in the games he plays, and then, like you say, he's not a far drive, is he, to get home?
No. So it makes a lot of sense in lots of ways from both parties. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one.
No,
I don't think we have to worry about.
He's saying, you know how it's going to go, Andrew. He gets into for us. He'll play 38 games for someone else.
Well,
Continue to develop asthma over the summer, asking for a friend if you know you know.
You say that, though. There also was a stat by Albino that he missed, I think he played 60% of the Celtic games for the previous 4 seasons as well.
It's ongoing. It's not a one-off. It's not just with his come to Arsenal. He has had his problems at Celtic, but then again, he was very young, and people thought that Celtic had overplayed him at such a young age. We've heard that before here as well, haven't we? Certain about some of our players that we've done that to. I think there is a problem. I'm not going to bearish, but there is a problem overall. We're saying it's inexperience, and hopefully it is inexperience, because in a year or so's time, that's going to go out the window. You think about it, and it's not my idea. It's what Jerome said to me this season recently. He said, when we come against a hostile crowd, we can't play the game away from home. You think about Everton's, Man United's, not saying Liverpool because they would beat us if there's no one in the ground, right? But there's all these grounds where it's hostile and we just can't do it. Another thing is, if I was running a pod, I was speaking to Jerome coming out the ground, I phoned him and I go, if I was doing a pod, the heading would be, if they let us play, we are brilliant. Because when teams do allow us, like Everton did, they didn't even challenge for anything. We look different class. El Neni looked like Pirlo in slippers on Sunday. Right? He looked like, wow, how much we pay for him? But you know as well as I do, we play away to a tough team. He'll do his job, he ain't going to do what he did on Sunday. And a lot of players like that, they hide. And hopefully, it's our experience and not a mindset.
Yeah, and I've been worried about that. I have, and we don't seem to be able to just get over the line when the pressure is really, really on, and that does go a lot down to the crowd. I believe you. Yeah, I agree with you. The thing is, though, when he said about Liverpool, the only times we've beaten Liverpool twice since he's been here was without a crowd. Funnily enough, so I think Liverpool may suffer without a crowd. Because remember when we beat them at home, when they'd already won the league, fair enough, but they were still a great team, and we beat them then in the Charity Shield as well, didn't we, on pens, which is quite ironic.
But when we beat them, when we beat them in both, it wasn't really, I mean, penalties is penalties. You can call it a win. Yeah, it's not a loss, but to me, it's not.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
But
it's funny.
when we beat them at home, I thought we were quite lucky. I thought they went 1-0 up, and you could shut your eyes and say, "Please, let this be over."
Oh, it's very lucky. It's brilliant.
Lacazette did very well. Was it Nelson? He did very well.
Nelson with a fluke winner goal.
Noses in front, and we just held them.
Oh, absolutely! It's a brilliant game. I loved it.
We didn't outplay them, but we held them. Sometimes we've got to do that. When we played Man City in the FA Cup and Chelsea, we let them come at us, and that's what's so frustrating. Sometimes you've got to play what's in front of you. When we played Spurs the other week, I think I spoke to you before the game. I said, "This is great. They've got to beat us. Sit back and let the crowd get aggravated." What do we do?
No.
Not
George Graham would have won us that game, wouldn't he, Melvin? George Graham would have won us that game.
Whoever he is at the moment would definitely have won us that game.
100%.
Well, as I said, we are literally saying all week in the days building up to that game, 4 points. We've got 4-point buffer. They've got to come at us. We know their weakest point. Low block, sit back, soak it up, do them on the counter. That's what they're weakest at. They get done every game. They almost got done by Burnley, but when Burnley did that the other week, a few days later. And literally, the irony is, we went gun ho in that game. Well, in the game we didn't need to go gun ho, and the game we did need to go gun ho. The game afterwards against Newcastle, we did the tactic I was calling for the Tottenham game. We sort of sat back and soaked it up.
It was over by then.
We barely attacked.
It was over by then, Ryan. It was over by then.
You know what I'm saying? It was literally like we sat. The tactic was to do the opposite of what we did on Thursday against Tottenham, and it was just like, okay, we'll just let them have the ball. And I'm like, we need to win the game. In this situation, we should be doing what we did on Thursday. And that's where Arteta needs to learn as well, tactically, when to how to set teams up and what sort of style.
He shouldn't have to learn it. He shouldn't have to learn it.
I know, but
clearly he has to. Arsenal. You shouldn't have to learn it. It should be ingrained. It should be ingrained in your DNA. You shouldn't have to learn it. It's like telling a bus driver, "Don't worry, mate. Drive along, and at some stage you'll have to learn how to drive." No, you should know now what to do.
But that's what happens. This is what happens, Melvin, when we go for a manager, with all due respect to Arteta, who had no experience coming into us. He's having to learn on the job. And I know it's near 2.5 years now since he got the job, but he's still making these mistakes at the same time as he did last year. But it's now or never for him, because now we're back into Europe next season. No, it's Europa League, but back in it. We're playing. He ain't going to have the same amount of time he had this season with the team on the training pitch. It's going to be, once the Europa League gets underway as well, Thursday, Sunday. Plus, you've got a World Cup in between. So it's literally, if we don't see no improvement in terms of the start of the season, we don't get off to a good start this season before the World Cup comes along.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him.
No, he's got a 3-year deal.
Not for the club. Not by the club, from us.
Where is the pressure, Ryan? He's got a 3-year deal.
Not from the fans. I mean, from the fans, and not from the club, from the fans.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's when it get messy, because look what we saw with Wenger the last few years of Wenger. The fans are slowly and gradually turning on him and taking it all out on him. And look what that did to him, probably mentally, and drained him. We don't know what that did to him, physically and mentally.
What did Wenger?
Same thing's going to happen to Arteta.
What did Wenger? I think was a lot of our televised games. The crowd was quite small.
The numbers, yeah,
and the sponsors do not want to see that happening. And I think the directors looked at that and went, "This ain't right. We've got to sell shirts. We've got to do this. We've got to get good advertising revenue in." I think the brand could have suffered, and they didn't want to take that risk. And they thought, "Times now. We've got a window to do this. Let's do it." I don't think that's I think Arteta actually has got more backing now than he's ever had, and probably rightly so, because there has been a change in certain areas of our play. With the fan base is together, which is great. So hopefully he does things right. Hopefully we do transfer right. Hopefully things go well for us because we can push on. But as I say, everything at the moment is set up for him. And he's going to get money. It's all set up. Let's hope that he's learned, which I hate to say, because I think he should have known it anyway. But let's hope he learns. He learns by mistakes. We will see.
Well, that's the biggest success of this project, Melvin. Like the way that everything is done behind the scenes. I think with this new sort of mentality and the way that he's brought the fans back to the club, back closer to the club and more united. I think all the work he's done behind the scenes to create that atmosphere, I think that's the biggest success so far, regardless of what's on the pitch and the players that he's got out, the players that he's been brought in. I think all that's secondary to what he's done behind the scenes so far. So I think that's been a big hats off to him in my book.
Oh, yeah. There's a huge PR machine at Arsenal that's been developed over the years, and it's in full gear now with social media and everything. It's all making Arteta look as good as possible. You know, you'll see the way everything's angled to make him look as good as possible, you know, as little criticism as possible. And at the games as well, you know, the way everything's all geared towards to make everyone, you know, get behind the team. And it should be like that. Of course it should. You should be up behind the team, especially at games and everything. But the way PR, you know, the PR machine at Arsenal is just pumping out everything, you know, to you know, make him look as good as possible. I think that is definitely what's driving a lot of the support he's been getting. But at the end of the day, you know, how many years do you give someone until you start expecting something? You know, it's you know, for me now going into this summer window now is his last chance to cement the team he wants. I thought January was quite strange in terms of we did a lot less than we thought we would in January, but now the summer, now he's got this chance now to get in a few, you know, big names and some signings, and then after that, there's no more excuses. What possible explanation can you have now after this summer to try and explain why we're not going to be competing for at least a Champions League spot? You know, that's, for me, that's our minimum target next season, is a Champions League spot, because he'd have 8 transfer windows. He's had 3 years of experience. He should have learned from a lot of mistakes he's made by now. He should have developed a lot more. He should have realized what his best team is, his best tactic is. He should have developed a plan B and a plan C. He should know what to do and what not to do in terms of putting players in their correct positions and where we get the most out of them. For me, if we don't actually improve more now next season and get a Champions League spot and actually compete in a couple of the cups, you know, actually maybe get to a final or win a cup. For me, you know, you got to start asking serious questions about where we're going with Arteta and what explanations or excuses, if you will, are you going to have? Because for me, you can't have any at that stage. You know, they're all used up.
Yeah, I totally agree. Next season, he has to deliver. This summer is very, very important. Regardless of who he gets, who he doesn't get, he's got to deliver next season, and that's it for me. But I think one point I will make, I agree, obviously, regarding the Arsenal PR machine and all that sort of stuff. However, I think it makes it even harder in this day and age because of social media and the voices the fans have got and everything. That is what drives a lot of the fans apart, is the social media. So regardless of what Arsenal pump out there, I think it's what they've been doing, what he's been talking about and what he's been doing on the pitch and everything that's brought the fans together a lot more than what has been put out and pumped out on social media, to be honest, because social media, as we know, can be absolutely and utterly toxic and vile at the best of times.
I think it works a bit both ways, because I think that for the people who like Arteta and are on board with him and his project and everything and all of that, I think the PR machine, it caters to them, and they use that all they can to retweet it and put it in people's faces. Oh, look at this, look at that. You know, it really suits them and their, if you want to call it, agenda or their.
Yeah, but you've only got to look at the replies of all that, though. You've only got to look at all the replies.
And then I was just going to say, then you have the people who are against Arteta and don't feel he's good enough and feel, you know, it's maybe time to start looking elsewhere. You know, that becomes, you know, it becomes something they're really aggravated about, isn't it? They look at the PR machine and all that, you know, positive spin and all this, look at that. And like you say, you see the replies and the way, I think it sort of divides the fan base in terms of that PR machine. It aggravates everyone who's against him.
Exactly. That's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, that's true. But I will tell you something. Twitter or whatever you're talking about, there is a divided fan base. There always will be, because people like to go the other side of the coin, whoever they are, whether they think they're right or wrong, they will go the other side. But I've got to tell you, gentlemen, for the last 10 years I've been going, this is the best of the atmosphere I've seen at the Arsenal.
Yeah.
That sums up everything I was saying, Melvin.
That matters more than what people are putting on Twitter.
That's exactly what I mean. That's what I mean. So that's why the job he's done has been so good and so important, despite the social media side. Because I think the fan base is happier than it has been in a long time. But the fans that actually go to games week in, week out, I've heard everyone say exactly the same as what you've just said. Not been like this since in as long as I can remember. Not been like this in 10 years, like you just said. And I totally agree. And it comes across, because I don't get to half as many games as I'd like to anymore at the moment. But it still comes across on the TV, how good it is. Home and away.
Sorry, I was at the game on Sunday, Mel. Sorry, Melvin. I was just going to say on Sunday, I sort of really rounded home after the game. When you compare when Emery was here, that full season he was here, Ramsey's Ramsey's send off and all that. It was half empty by the time he cut his send off. Yes, on Sunday it was still pretty much full. I think Melvin about me up. There's a few empty seats, but it was pretty much full for the waiting for the players to come back out and do their lap of honour or appreciation, whatever the fucking call it. And the fans were clapping and all that, and getting behind and singing the songs and all that.
Well, some of the fans had early to catch their flights home, didn't they?
Do you know what I think? I think a lot of it is we've created a core of players now we're really getting behind. The youngsters and academy, and then you got the likes of Erdegaard, who for me, Erdegaard is one of the best players we've had in many, many years. The guy is the heartbeat in our attack. He's an amazing player. I'm not just saying that because he's Norwegian. The guy's brilliant. But I think we're really getting behind the play. You can see the players. A lot is there. A lot is ready to burst, out and really develop and get the best out of these players. But that's the key, getting the best out of them. This is what we're going to be discussing now going forwards with Arteta. Is he the right man to get the best out of them? Because I think we're all behind the players. We've got this great core of young players playing really well. You see our games when we're on form and we're playing with our best team and we're playing our best football. It's been the best football for many, many years since Wenger ball, basically. So I think that's what's bringing a lot of the fans back in and making them excited. But we need to get the best out of them and start winning things. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree. That's what I said. This is a massive season for Arteta. Massive season.
Over that hump of managing to play, A, when teams don't want us to play, and B, when we're playing against hostile crowds. We get over those humps, we're on for a good one.
I think
very big word in it.
I think the experience of this season, like I said earlier in the show, Melvin, it's got to start building this experience of playing in these environments for these young players like Saka and Martinelli and Erdegaard and Smith Rowe and all the others. I think they've got to. We're all talking about we've got to improve by all the incomings in the summer, which is right. All the players we need. It's always the fans' priority to do that. But for me, a lot of it is down to the players that we've got improving as well to make us better. And Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, they're only going to improve after the season that they've just had. They're going to be another year older, another year more experienced of playing in these environments. And that's got to count for something, right?
You know what I would do? I would ban or hide Saka's boots until just before August. I would not let him
rest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely.
I've got to admit, I was disappointed. The England squad was announced today, and I was disappointed because, again, the Nations League is nothing. Whatever. So I was really, I was happy that Smith Rowe went in because obviously we know he's been carrying some sort of knock for last week. So I was happy he wasn't included.
Yeah, definitely.
To be included really done me because it's like he's been playing. He's been running into the ground for as I say.
And Ben White.
2 years, and obviously Ben White. Ben White's carrying an injury. What's Southgate thinking there?
He won't play anyway.
Public knowledge.
Exactly right. He won't play.
He won't play anyway, mate.
I
But
know,
he's,
it's just like, what are you doing?
I know.
Again,
No.
as you say, I'd literally go, even though people think COVID's gone, like, sorry, Saka and Ben White, they've got COVID, they can't come along for the next month. Next month they can't play England. They've got to have the summer off. They'll be
Do
back
what
in a week's
Liverpool
time.
Man United do. Do what Liverpool Man United do.
Yeah, foul injuries and all that.
One of them's got a bone in his leg. He can't play next week.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, there's people in the chat mentioning documentary as well. Again, even though we did finish where we finished in the end, I'm still looking forward to watching that. Actually, compared to where I was this time last year, it was announced. I was thinking I was fearing the worst. I'm actually still looking forward to it because it's going to be interesting to see what is going on behind the scenes. With all due respect, anyway, but we'll still see something going on. We wouldn't know. We wouldn't know about because and in terms of what we said about the players as well, but they're very likable. They're young. They're hungry. We're going to see more of their personality as well. Hopefully.
All I hope is that the documentary doesn't show Arteta having a party.
Well, at this point, it wouldn't surprise me. He's probably there with fucking be a photo of him going to the day before with a fucking glass. He had a party.
I don't watch the news anymore. I've said this before. I haven't watched the news in years.
I don't watch the news. I'm with you, Andrew. I'm with you.
Literally years. I'm not even joking. But I was at my partner's house last night, and the news came on, and one of the first things that came on was this party again during lockdown. I think, what the fuck? They're still going on about this year later, however long it was.
6 months later.
The first time I've watched the news, and that's the lead story, for fuck's sake. I mean, that is exactly why I don't watch this shit.
World War III happening, but don't worry about that, boys.
I know. What the fuck? I mean, I ran over and I got the remote, and it was in her house. But I turned the telly off. I didn't give a shit. How are they still talking about this bollocks?
Well, no, because it's fucking...
Boris is worse than World War III. That's just the way it is.
Honestly,
technically, not wrong there. Technically.
I couldn't believe my eyes and ears. Honestly, I really couldn't.
I know, because if he just when that all crap before we move on, hang out 6 months ago, if he just admitted to it and got on with it, we wouldn't be talking about it now, surely. But because the fact he keeps dragging it out and more stuff gets leaked out, it's just fuck off. Leave us alone. There's other stuff in the world to talk about. Go away. There's a jury case going off in the States between Johnny Depp and his ex of domestic abuse on him. He's obviously because he's claimed to be the victim, and so he's claimed to be the victim. But everything we're seeing in these last few weeks has been the complete opposite to what she's saying. It actually shows her to be the abuser. So that's newsworthy because that's again a spotlight.
Just to go off,
it's a spotlight on men can be domestically abused as well.
Yeah, but the thing here, Ryan, is we all like to trust in justice, right? But my point is, if he's found not guilty and she's found guilty, does that mean our justice system is corrupt?
Well, it is because touch on that. Sorry, touch on
that.
Which
way do we go? Which way do we do it? Well, they should both come to the same conclusion, surely. Has there been more evidence? I don't think so.
Well, it turned out the judge, because it wasn't a jury service for the UK one. It was based on a judge. The judge is best friends with Rupert Murdoch, who hires Rupert Murdoch's son. So it's all connected.
How's that connected to her?
No, because obviously it was because the trial over here was based mainly on the Sun newspaper.
Oh, I see.
Johnny Depp a wife beater.
Right.
And obviously it was her trying to protect her, basically trying to claim that is true, and him trying to say no, I've got this evidence. But everything we're seeing now live, the judge in the UK was thrown out of the court. That's no. Everything because it turns out he's like that with Rupert Murdoch.
So therefore, our justice isn't that great then. That's what you're trying to... it's not as great as we think it is. You know, it'd be funny. After this court case, they get back together again.
Oh, God, no.
There's Stan. Message for Stan. Yeah, I've been getting my kebab, mate. You'll know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. Oh dear. Anyway, going back to the actual football side of things. I mean,
as
I say about the documentary. I mean, it is going to be. We know the funny thing is, Tottenham fans I've seen on social media go, "Oh, I can't wait, all or nothing." I mean, literally, one of them mentioned it. I was like, they haven't replied back either. I was like, hang on, when you had your All Nothing documentary, sorry, didn't you finish like 7th? And your manager, your best, like Mr. Mourinho, Trophy Mourinho, fucking celebrated on the final day of win against Palace for getting 7th. We finished 5th. So I think we've had a more successful end to our program than what you have. Only difference is at this time, you finished fucking 4th.
I think it's a bit like politics, gentlemen. It doesn't matter because if you're a Spurs supporter, whatever Spurs does is good. Whatever Arsenal do is bad, and vice versa. We're the same. So we've only got to. I don't put my energy in Spurs. Honestly, yes, I'm not happy when they win everything. Of course, I'm not. Or win. Sorry, of course I'm not. But it doesn't. I'm more interested in what Arsenal do. I really am. So
exactly.
I don't care with documentaries or what. I want to enjoy it, watch it, and enjoy it. I didn't watch the Spurs.
Well, there's going to be more. There's going to be more than enough stuff for them to draw from. I mean, this season's been ram-packed with ups and downs and controversies and this and that. I mean, the Aubameyang thing. Are they going to show anything from the Aubameyang thing? Will we see any of that? There's all of that.
I think it's going to be like the Arsene Wenger book. We're all going to be hoping for this and that and the other. And all this inside knowledge, and it's going to be just bland.
Yeah, it's just going to be what they want us to see, basically, probably.
More likely, but either way, I'm still looking forward to watching it, see what they can put out.
It's like I originally said, I'm looking forward to the documentary purely on the basis that I would like to see how Arsenal Football Club is run on a day-to-day basis behind closed doors, because that is what you get to see in the documentary. With Arsenal Football Club, it's been such a secret. In terms of what actually goes on at Arsenal for so many years, it's been a closed shop. It'd be interesting to see how things actually work.
Yeah,
no, exactly. And also, in terms of this year as well, I think we might get an insight, hopefully get an insight to it as well. So obviously when they announced the refurb, but they've already started on Sunday, apparently, after the full-time West End lab, they started repping the seat set and all that and getting ready to take the screens down and things like that. So it's going to be interesting if they actually put in a documentary the ideas they have, not what's going to happen, but the ideas they have for this refurb, because I've been saying for the last few years it needed a first paint and all that. It does look a bit naff at the moment. Let's just be honest. And
if you walk around the ground, it's so drab. You think we play in pink and white.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The badges around the stadium, the paint's peeled off and got fucking tennis. Somehow, I don't know how, people literally hit tennis balls into like the circle with the cannon. And it's just been down there for like 2 years, even before the pandemic, actually.
People have too much time on their hands, honestly.
I'm just like, bloody hell. I mean, the lighting as well, obviously with the Emirates and all that, when the light games and all that, they need changing as well, because obviously they've gone pink as well. But it's going to be interesting what they do with actually a final product. I think, again, from what their plans are for that, obviously, one of their main plans got shut down in terms of having the digital screens around the stadium, because obviously with the flats next, all the flats on site, the council was like, oh no, it'll be like Piccadilly Circus. It's like, well, there's a way of doing it, energy saving and all that. You can actually like either turn off the screens at night and basically from on set phone thing. So say 9 o'clock at night they turn off, not 6:30 in the morning they turn back on. Energy saving, it's not differing from people's flats and causing a fucking migraine attack or whatever.
Go down Wilkinson's, they do all those solar lights and all that, they'd be fine.
Exactly.
Or what they could do to get the energy is get some of our players on a bike.
Yeah.
All the youth players.
Get all down any on there.
All the youth players. Yeah. Like they did in the old days.
Put Charlie Bettina, put a smile on his face.
Now that's a player I want to talk about. Great, you saw him playing for the under 23s, I think it was. Different class, right? And he was doing very well. We put him in against Forest in the FA Cup, and he didn't play well. I admit, obviously, he had a poor game, but so did the other 10 players. And yet you don't hear from him again. I mean, what's that to do with confidence?
He's been on the bench for about the last 10 games, hasn't he?
Yeah, but have you noticed he hasn't been wearing boots?
No, it's just for the experience of being with the. Basically, they do that not just to fill up the space, but they give them the taste of the match day with the squad, to getting ready with the squad, the walking into the stadium, the eating with the squad, and they want to get them to have that internal hunger to say, I don't want to lose this. I've got to keep trying my hardest to get onto this stage.
It's
That's what
all right.
we do it for, though.
I
Honestly.
know, Andrew, but I'm talking about games, for example, against Everton when you're 5-1 up.
Oh
You
yeah,
You
yeah.
can get in 10 minutes.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
But I think he'd used all his subs before then. But yeah, I think he's good. The good thing is about getting Europa League rather than Champions League is that exact reason, isn't it?
Mm.
Because they wouldn't be risked in the Champions League group stage unless we won all the games and the last 2 games were dead rubbers in the group. Then they might get a game, but otherwise they wouldn't. But they might do now. Balogun might, Z's, Patino, Hutchinson, Nelson if he comes back, which I hope he does. Looking forward to the match tomorrow where he's in the Europa Conference League final. I'm going to watch that, see how he gets on. But there's a few players that can actually hopefully get quite a few games next season because of getting Europa League. So that's one benefit of it anyway.
No, exactly. I think the last time out in the Europa League, when not the season has gone, but the last time I was in Europe, I think every game we played 6-1-6. It was pretty much our second squad players and the kids. And again, as you say, I think that's what benefits being in Europa League. Is that lots of Charlie, Aziz. I think even Balogun now. I think Balogun will actually be kept now because we're in Europa League. If we've been in Champions League, I think we've known him out again. But I think he'll now be kept as the Europa League striker.
And our third striker, like Ketty was this season.
That's what I say about the Europa League. Third.
Yeah.
And then as the tournament goes on, he'll go onto the bench and come on here and spouts and things like that. And it gives them that experience on the European level as well. So when we do make that step up, and when they're ready to be the first team, they haven't got that culture shock of playing European football because they've already got it from the competition below. Touchwood. But Vidri's not happy with Sam, by the way. He wants to have a conversation about Haaland.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. He just bloody hell, he's too difficult to get over the line.
Oh dear.
It was very close, I heard.
Yeah, it was very, very close. Very touch and go.
Oh dear.
I would touch and he would go.
Yes. Literally everyone in the chat's talking about what the names of episodes, what the names of episodes going to be. You've got the merchandise episode, the Tea Lady episode.
It'd be like Friends. All the episodes would be called the one with the one with Elsie, the one with the merch, the one with the hair transplant, the one with Aubameyang.
Ross is in the chat saying Andrew still thinks Haaland will sign for us when he's 35.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If we go down that route, bloody hell.
He would have been at Chelsea for 10 years before then. Then we'll get him.
Why didn't you take one for the team? That Sam's asking.
I tried. He wasn't interested.
Oh dear. Steve saying, I'm betting the new kit was released for the last game, replaced by a newer kit for the first match of next season. Won't surprise me.
They've still got 2 more launches yet, haven't they?
Yeah, I think the next one.
And then the third kit.
Yeah, I think the next one's going to be launched. The away kit, the black one's going to be launched on the start of their tour of the America in June or July. July, sorry, yeah. So I think the start of that's when they launched that one, and the pink one gets launched. I think the Emirates Cup they launched that one, which we're playing Sevilla, which I'm looking forward to because obviously the reason they're doing it is obviously to pay tribute for both clubs to Jose Antonio Reyes.
They're not doing anything with the outside of the stadium though, Melvin. That's why they brought out that pink shirt.
Right. Good idea.
It'll make sense.
Now, what they're doing, they're going to give us all next year these special specs with red and green on it.
So. When is it we're going out to America?
July.
Yeah, I'll double check now when the start date is for that tour because it's an actual tour thing we're doing. We're playing Chelsea and Everton in the States, and then there's some. I think it's Colorado Rapids. I don't know. I'm having a look now. One sec, bear with me.
Yeah, we're getting 2 players from them, aren't we? We're getting
we'll get Matty Turner's an Arsenal player now, and
their defender as well.
Trusty the process.
Trusty the process. Yeah. Bloody hell. What date is the first game over there?
I'm just getting them up now.
Because if it's about mid-July, I'm just thinking, what are the
16th of July.
chances of us going to America with? Well, we might have one or two of our signings. We might have a Hickey and a Marquinhos, that new kid from Brazil.
Yeah.
But what are the chances of any of the others? So we're not going to go out there with any of the new signings, are we?
I think Tielemans
we're going to get them all at the end of August. We're going to have 3 games without our signings. It's going to be the same shit all over again, isn't it?
I think Tielemans will actually be done quite quickly. I think they're already talking.
So.
Do you want to see him at the Arsenal?
I do, yeah.
He's good. He's a good player.
Very good player.
He is. He's very good.
Just got to get his
player.
mindset straight, and you're off then. Just you get him a settled mindset where he knows there's no messing about. This ain't fucking Leicester City. You can't mess about. You can't play mind games. You've got to play mind games out the door, sort of thing.
How old is he?
25.
Yeah, 24, 25, something like that.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
The first game of our pre-season,
he's very good in transition and carrying the ball and transition. You know, he's
scoring as well.
Exactly that type of player we need in midfield.
Dynamic.
Does that mean we don't play Smith Rowe then?
No, I think we don't play Xhaka.
I think Xhaka's
not that type of player. Transition.
No, but it means obviously
exactly, exactly, mate.
Exactly. Right. It means partly he'll be able to do his job properly, and they'll have someone like Tielemans who can push forward a slight bit more, where he can protect the back, where partly will be able to anchor and be protecting the back line.
Yeah,
because obviously Tielemans gets the ball and he runs with it, pushes forward, and not literally. He's not afraid to have a shot at goal either. So we could potentially, if Tielemans was to happen, touch wood, we could have Partey, Tielemans, and Odegaard, and then obviously Smith, Martinelli on the left, one of them two, Saka on the right, and whoever down the middle.
Definitely, yeah.
Jesus looks like he could be getting. I wouldn't mind him either, to be honest.
No, he'd be a very good signing. Do you know what? If they're the 2 main signings, I'll be happy with that.
We've been heavily linked with Napoli. We've had a £90 million bid rejected from Napoli for their striker as well.
What? 90 million?
Yeah, that's what they demand.
Yeah, they want 100 million for a Seaman. Their top striker.
90 million we bid in, and we couldn't pay for the dinosaur last year.
He came back. By proof,
I love that. That's great.
A newer, younger model, the baby dinosaur. That's what we've got.
I think it's on 35 grand a year or something. One of these dinosaurs. I didn't fucking pay that, honestly.
Yeah.
No, the first game of pre-season.
The grass he could eat.
So the first game of pre-season has just got up now. Got fixtures up now. Is Saturday, July 16th, 7:00 our time, like PM, 7:00 PM our time.
So we head out there probably a couple of days before.
Yeah. Big build up and all that crap. We got.
I'm just wondering how many of these signings we'll have with us when we go over there.
And then we've got Orlando City on the 20th. 3 days later, we've got Chelsea. No time kickoff for them yet. They'll be announced soon, apparently. And then we've got Sevilla back at the Emirates Cup.
I wonder which player is going to refuse to get on the plane to America this time. I wonder.
Won't be our captain with it. That's another thing we haven't really touched on so far. Who's going to be our new captain next season?
Odegaard, end of.
Yeah, the thing is, he's a player. He's a leader, sort of in terms of the way he plays. But is he that leader who lifts?
Yeah, he's the one that leads everything on the pitch. He may not be like twirling and shouting till his veins pop like some other players. I mean, he's telling everyone what to do all the time.
Yeah, in terms of getting the team to play, but lifting them when things are tough. I don't know if he's that type of leader, to be honest.
Time will tell. I
know we don't do it anymore in our team. Very few clubs do, but I'd like to see it where a captain will go up to someone and give him a racking for not doing something.
Yeah.
We don't see it anymore. And if that is the case, he's not the type of player to do it.
How many of those types of captains are there in the game?
We need that at the moment, though, in my opinion.
Yeah. There's only one comes to mind. We just spent the last hour talking about selling him to Newcastle because he was injury prone.
Yeah, but have you ever seen him do that either? I mean, He has what the odd moment, but he doesn't
Yeah, but
go
I'm
up
saying,
to
would,
play.
also at the same time, would you want to piss off a fucking Glaswegian
No, definitely not.
who's come from the Celtic ranks as well, knows what it is to win? It takes no bloody bullshit, basically. But yeah, it's going to be interesting how that pans out, because obviously when the Aubameyang situation occurred, it was clear obviously Lacazette was given the armband till the end of the season based on the fact he was a vice captain anyway beforehand. And after him, it was a weird one at one point, because it was like Xhaka got the armband, and then for some reason, like no matter for some reason, I don't know why, Arteta sort of changed his mind and then made Tierney the backup to Lacazette. And when obviously Tierney's not been available, it's been either Partey or most recently Martin Odegaard. So he must have.
When was Partey ever the captain?
He had the armband briefly, like 1 or 2 games briefly.
Did he?
When Tierney's gone off as a sub or something like that, I can't remember when.
Yeah,
But it was like 1 or 2 games. It was one
very
or 2.
temporary, wasn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then once they were both out of the picture because of the injuries.
Yeah, but
it's been
Nketiah had it. Nketiah had it very temporarily one match.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question.
That's Sunderland.
I want to ask you a question. You watch any Arsenal game, you come in 5 minutes late, you watch the game without looking at the armband. Can you tell me at any game you've watched this season who the Arsenal captain is?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
We
don't have a real proper.
But this is why Arteta's paid the big bucks, because he needs to decide and find out who is of that ilk.
Perhaps there's no one there that could do it. I don't know.
Well, I think we've gone from not having any candidates at all a couple of seasons ago to having a few now at least.
Would he give it? As a goalkeeper, would he give it to Ramsdale?
Well, there's Ramsdale, there's White, there's Gabriel, there's Tierney, there's obviously Xhaka will be a massive thingy, but Odegaard.
Is he staying, Xhaka?
I don't think he will. I don't think he will. No, but that's just my opinion. I think he's gone this summer personally.
If we get Tielemans, he won't. Xhaka's the sort of person he won't be happy with being a backup, a squad player, after years of being a first teamer. If you then bring in someone like Tielemans, and Tielemans is going to come in as a first team. Don't care what anyone says. He'll come if we do get him. He'll come as a first team.
I think I'll be happy with any of those. I'll be happy with Gabriel. I'll be happy with White. I'll be happy with Ramsdale. I'll be happy with Tierney, although he doesn't play as many games as he should. But God forbid if he was ever fit for a season, touch wood, that'd be a good one as well. I'll be happy with Odegaard. So there's 5 good candidates there already. And regarding that question on the screen, it's all been given the green light today.
Oh, it's been given a green light from our perspective from the UK, but
from the government,
because Roman Abramovich holds a Portuguese passport, it's still on hold. Because of Portugal, it's a Portuguese passport, so they've got to clear it as well. And it's because of Portugal part of the EU. EU don't got to clear it and make sure that because they're sanctioned him as well because of that. They've now got to make sure from their end, he ain't getting nothing from their end, and they've got to get guarantees their end. If they don't get it the next, what we got, 24th today, 24th by next Tuesday.
7 days.
7 days. And next they've got 7 days to get their guarantees. They don't get the guarantees. Chelsea don't have a license, and they have to then.
They'll probably get an extension, I'm sure.
Probably get the extension, but in terms of getting a license for the UK, but in terms of the European competition, the UEFA have already said if it ain't done by the 31st, they'll lose their spot for the Champions League. Apparently, this is what the BBC were reporting yesterday.
Yeah, well, they'll figure out some way of doing it. There's no way they're going to let that go.
I've not seen Josh's official statement, by the way, so I can't really comment on that. I might have to look into it and come back to you on Saturday. I'll do the Champions League watch along for that. Might come back to you on that one. Stan saying Tielemans will be an upgrade, a massive upgrade on Xhaka, with all due respect to Granite. And he had, for this season, apart from the start of it and all the crap that went off at the start, and then obviously the Liverpool away game in the first leg against in the cup. Apart from them sort of moments, he has stepped up most of the time this season. Just lacks that discipline, which we've always known about. Andy D saying that's the newest captain we have. Sorry, what was that?
The statement today by Josh. What did he say?
I don't know.
I think that myself. It was in the programme, wasn't it?
Oh, was it that?
Oh,
I haven't
right.
read it for.
Program.
When it was Josh, I thought, yeah, fuck off. I've got a program. I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll read that later, and I'll get back to you on that Ridley on Saturday. I'll do the Champions League stream for that. Xhaka used as a make weight for Tammy Abrahams, maybe. Will you take Tammy?
Abrahams? Why do we want to leave?
Makes me laugh when everyone puts an S on the end of his name. I don't know why. It's just something so silly, but I just think it's quite funny. I just think I want to start putting an S on everyone's name. Ryan Fletcher's, Melvin Marks, Sam Greenwood's,
Melvin's Marks.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Gary's in the chat saying as well, heard Nelly's contract has been held up until getting the armband on my birthday bonus was signed off. Well, that leaked out on Sunday as well. On the way back, I was on the way back with my brother, and once got signal from Earl's Court and come from the underground. Obviously, the photos sort of leaking out that obviously taking photos with the club photographer and all that, with a pen in the paper and all that crap. So we know that's coming. I've seen not a lot of, been a bit of arguments on both sides of that. Over the last few weeks, I've been saying he's happy to take the pay cut. He's happy to be a squad player. He's not demanding first team football. He doesn't kick off. He needs, for example, off the pitch as well, by the looks of it. We need that experience and that side of things as well. Is it such a bad thing to give him an extra year?
Absolute no-brainer, mate. Absolute no-brainer. 1+1. You can't you can't lose from a deal like that. He's not got any kind of issue with coming back, being integrated within the squad like a new player would have. It's always a risk bringing in another player, and you might think, oh yeah, this is going to be an upgrade on Xhaka, but El Neni. But when he comes in, it might not turn out that way. It might turn out to be a complete dud. We know that he's a great trainer. He's got no issues off the pitch. He's well liked within the entire squad. When he does come in, he does a decent job. So I think it's just an absolute no-brainer just to give him a 1+1. I mean, how can you lose with that, really?
Oh no, that's why I'm sort of on side of it, because as I say, he's proven this year. I mean, you said it a couple of weeks ago on a podcast we did a couple of weeks ago. A year ago today, he was told he was surplus to requirements.
Exactly, yeah. That shows a lot of character, that does. It really does. To work his way back. Think, no, I'm going to stay. I'm going to fight my way back into this team. And he's done that. And he's earned himself a new contract out of it. That says a hell of a lot about the man's character to me.
Yeah.
If you put an S at the end of his name, it'd be Perlo's.
Oh dear, I'm laughing at it. But again, is that you say about the character? It's that sort of character I think Arteta's seen. And he realised he needs in this squad for the younger players to sort of feed off of and learn from. Sort of have that never dies, as you say, that never say die attitude, and sort of dig in and earn your spot back, and respect respect from your manager as well. Because a year ago, told bye-bye, I'm running another new club. He obviously didn't find himself a new club and sort of dug in, didn't kick off either. The ultimate professional in terms of that side of things. When you compare it as well to what we've seen at Man United this season, where everyone's throwing their toys at the pan to the point. 8 or 9 of their first teamers didn't bother turning up on Sunday. Literally didn't bother actually travelling down to London.
God, that's disgusting, isn't it?
But they were ill. And you got fucking Ten Hag, who we all rate, by the way, on this channel, thinking he's going to be able to turn things around like that. Mate, he ain't got a clue what he's got to do.
I'm thinking he's jumping into he can't swim, and he's jumping into the deep end without a rubber ring. I think he's going to seriously struggle, I do, with that bunch of players, and getting the length of time he will need to completely do a root and branches complete, overhaul of that entire squad. I just can't see it happening, mate. I really can't. Ten Hag's, he's going to be in big trouble.
Oh dear. Russ is having a little. Russ is just being Russ, basically.
How much? It depends how much they're going to let him do, innit?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Ten Hag has convinced them that he's going to come in and he's going to get a lot of leeway in terms of what he's going to be able to do. I think he's gonna gut that squad and build a new one. It's gonna take a couple of seasons, but
You don't get the time, do you? At Man United.
Take a couple of seasons, but after a couple of seasons, if Ten Hag, if he lives up to his reputation and what he's been doing in a couple of seasons, they could be a real force to be reckoned with.
Ten Hag's.
He's got a great reputation. He makes fabulous watches, number one. And secondly, what he did at Ajax, was fantastic. The group of players he brought through from youth level and the football they played was unbelievable. And if the hierarchy at Man United takes a step back and go, we might have to sacrifice 2 or 3 seasons, but then we have a conveyor belt with a little bit of money. I think that would be the way to go for it. But they might all at one go, and then they're back to square one again.
I could not agree with you more. That's exactly what they need, and I think exactly the same about Ten Hag's. But
do you think they'll get the time though, the fans? If one little slip,
no, that's the problem. That's the problem. I don't think it's the type of club where you will get that time. They are Man United, as they keep saying to everyone on the TV. This is Man United we're talking about. That's all you get round down your throats all the time, isn't it? By all the media, and it's not just down to the fans; it's the media as well. And if the media start turning on him, saying nothing's happening, he's not doing it, he's losing game after game, then that adds a significant amount of pressure on him as well, because the fans start believing what the media is writing, saying he's crap, and they will turn on him as a result. And that's what I can see happening, unfortunately. And I just think it's a bad move for him, because I do really rate him as a coach, and I think the Ajax job was perfect for him. The way that Arsenal would have been perfect for him, because they're a similar type of club with bringing through the young players. And he would have been able to do the same thing he did at Ajax, but Man United is not like that. They don't flood. They used to. Obviously we've got the class of '92, but that's like 30 years ago now. That don't happen anymore. They haven't got that kind of academy anymore. And they go out and buy their way out of trouble. And that's what, he may well turn out to be the type of manager that can do that, but that's not what history suggests with him, is it? He's got his success from bringing through youngsters, a brilliant young team, getting them to the Champions League semi-final and playing wonderful football, like you said, Melvin. But that is not Man United. It's not the way they do things. They go out and buy the most expensive players in the summer with the biggest names, and the manager's got to work with what he's given. And
is Pogba going on a free, Andrew? Is he going on a free?
Yeah.
You turn my camera off. Right.
No, you said that off yourself.
I thought your electricity had proper gone out.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it's gone complete.
Have you got a box of matches? Just like one of those.
There we go.
It also looks like you're sitting on the bottom of the staircase.
I just hang on, the hamster's died again. I have to get the hamster going again. Fucking hamster. There we go.
In that light, it looks like you're sitting on your staircase on the bottom couple of stairs.
Yeah, the bottom of the staircase. Hang on, I'll go see the light on.
Oh, dear. Oh, while I was waiting for him, just going through the chat, so one sec. Yeah, Voss is making a comment which sort of upset Gary about the centipede.
God, that's the most vile thing I've ever seen.
Oh dear. Ten Hag doesn't have Omar to help him anymore. Oh, that's a good.
No,
it's gonna be interesting because obviously, I can't remember who's taken over from Ed Woodward now at United. That's going to be interesting how they work that one out. Also, what was it, Ralph?
Isn't it Ralph?
Ralph
Ragnaroks. He's going to be doing that job
for 6 days a month.
Wreck-It Ralph. That's what he's going to do. Yeah,
6 days a month he'll turn up and go, "Hi." So that surely that's a hiding to nothing and that side of things as well. It just seems like it's just like patchwork for the United. Like sort of slam it against the wall and hope it'll work. You know. Harry Maguire will not be a Ten Hag player. He's not a Ten Hag player. There's not.
What happened to his court case?
No, I don't know.
It's still ongoing, isn't it? I think
it's still going. Nothing's happened since he appealed it. And that was what over 2 seasons ago now.
You can see Ten Hag obviously reintegrating Donny van der Beek, and you can see him going for De Jong and De Ligt as well, can't you?
And for lunch, you'll have Dutch Edam cheese.
And dance around in his clogs.
Yeah.
Sam's not paid his
A
electric.
little mouse on the stair. And he said, where? Right there. There on the stair.
Where?
There on the stair.
A little mouse with clogs on.
Where are they there?
Did you know?
Oh, dear.
Colonel's in the chat saying that Sam's not paid his electric. He's one of those who's sitting in the Weatherspoons with a cup of tea all day.
No, he sits on the bottom of his stairs where he can get the light in through the front door.
Oh dear, mate. Sam's made an OnlyFans to help with his electric bill costs. Yeah, I need to wrap things up. Sam, hurry up. What are you doing? I've heard more. That's court case than Harry Maguire. I mean, what's it? Fucking Kurt Zuma's court case has gone through quicker than this, than Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously he pleaded guilty today, rightly so. Obviously, he could not plead guilty. He could not plead guilty because obviously what the evidence and all that. So he pleaded guilty. He'll be sentenced on next Wednesday, I think, on the 1st of June. So yay. Apparently the judge as well, because again, it's not a jury. That's it. It's not a jury service. It's based on the judge, and the judge didn't think a fine would suffice the punishment, so they've been sent away. Both brothers on bail, but basically there's an unbreakable bail. They've got to stick to the literal whatever conditions. There's no if buts or maybes for the next 8 days. They go back on the 1st of June to get sentenced. But Sam's back. Can we back wrap up?
Too bright, Sam. You're too bright, mate.
Too bright. Don't look into the lights.
Yeah. The lights.
My eyes.
Don't fly into the light. But it's so bright. Oh. And with that, I think we best wrap things up. But I want to get your overall thoughts out of 10, guys, on the season as a whole. Out of 10, I'll go with Sam first before we wrap things up.
Oh, that's a tough one, really. It's a tough one. You know, I was going to say if this season was a roller coaster, you'd be fucking vomiting at least 10 times, wouldn't you? Up and down, up and down, up and down. It'd be worse than any roller coaster I've ever been on, I'll tell you that. But there has been some positives. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of negatives. For me, it's difficult to rate it above a 5, to be honest. It really is. I mean, I'm stuck between 4 and 5. I'll give it a 5.
Give it 5. Right.
Melvin?
I'll give it 7, actually.
Good. Me too.
So as you're finding that tonight, Sam's a negative one.
Too many negatives for me, in my opinion.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
No, I'm just saying, for me, like twice a 5, just too many negative things going on.
There's too many things that I've enjoyed about the season to make it an overall negative. I've loved a lot of this season. I've loved the team more than I have done for many years. I've really, really warmed to the manager. There's still a lot that he's got to prove to me, but I desperately want him to succeed because I like him. But like I said, I love the players. They've given me a lot of joy this season, so I can only speak as my own way of, being an Arsenal fan this year. That it's given me more pleasure than negatives, given me a lot more hope for the future than I've had for a long time. So I definitely agree with Melvin. I'll give it a 7.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was between the 6 and 7 myself. I'm gonna go over 7. I think there is room for improvement. There's always room for improvement in any season. The only way you get a 10 out of 10 really is if we win the title. Let's be honest. If we win the league, I'll be giving 10s out of 10s.
Yeah, one other thing I would say, if we'd have got top 4, 2 more points, In my opinion, I don't think we could have done any better than that this season. I think I would have given it a 9 or a 10 because of the way that we start. Obviously, the way that we started as well. I think if we'd have got those couple more points and finished in fourth place, it couldn't have got much better, really, unless we won a cup, maybe.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think it's been exactly what we'd expect. I think a lot of us would have taken 6th at the beginning of the season, to be honest, after 8th place finish.
Yeah.
Just getting back into the race.
I can see where you're coming from, and I can see why there's a lot of positivity there in terms of the players. That's the positive for me is the players. There's a lot there to come from them. I know they're still only developing, they're still only gelling as a team. You know, I think we are going to see more and better from them, absolutely, and that's what's given me a lot of hope and the positivity I have. But this season for me has been, you know, there's been so many downs to it, so many poor performances. You know, they come straight after a good performance, and it's a bad performance, and we're on a string of 3-4 bad performances. I mean, truthfully, how many really good performances can you count this season? You can't count them on one hand.
No, I don't agree. Don't agree at all. I think it's been a lot.
In my opinion, in terms of really good performances for the whole game, you can count maybe. You can count maybe on one hand, in my opinion, how many games we've played the whole game very well. How many poor performances we've had, many more, and then we'll just pop straight out the FA Cup against Forest, terrible. For me, that's overall what it is. But listen, I think next season, I do think next season is going to be better, and I really look forward to seeing how our players develop and improve next season.
So with that microphone decided to go, so I can't hear you guys now. But I can obviously hope you can hear me.
Yeah, can hear you.
That's fun. Thanks. Fucking streamline this sort of crap out. But anyway, it is what it is. As I said, I'm giving it a 7. It would have been higher if we got, as Andrew said, it would have been a bit higher, around the 8 mark if we'd got the top 4. One win would have been a difference, but it is what it is, and necessarily it's one from not just from the manager side of it, but from the players. And as I say, there's a lot to look forward to, and we're hopefully we have a good transfer window. We learn from our mistakes. Stop dragging the transfers at Arsenal. If you're listening to this, anyone at Arsenal, give this to Edu, give this to Arteta. Stop dragging the fucking transfers out till deadline day. We've got a World Cup slap bang in the middle of first half of the season. We ain't got time for that fucking about. Get all our signings done before the season starts. Well before the season starts. If anything, get them done before the start of our pre-season tour. So get enough time to scum in, settle in the new team plates and this, that, and the other, and we can hit the ground running for once. Because that's another thing. In the next couple of weeks, we've got new fixtures coming out, so we have to plan for that. And that's because, as I say, the season started so early this year for next season in terms of the first weekend of August. There's no time for messing. There's no room for me messing about. And with a World Cup slap bang in the middle of the first half of the season, it ain't.
Well, the World Cup's going to do us a favour.
There's no room for being neglecting the team and then allowing a bad start to happen, because then we're going to have that turnover. I mean, thankfully Norway haven't qualified for the World Cup, so Odegaard will get a month off. But apart from that, certain players we know will be at the World Cup. So they're going to be running to the ground. They're going to be shattered. So we can't afford to be chasing after the World Cup from Boxing Day onwards.
But the thing is,
it is what it is. I'm going to obviously sign off now. I'll be back on, I think now Saturday as it stands. So the Champions League final, and then Sunday for the Nottingham Forest versus Huddersfield final. Possibly another Kevin Campbell team in the trying to think now in the in the Premier League. Sorry. I'm going to go off quickly so I can hear you guys again. Because, Andrew, have you got anything come up on your channel while I disappear? Let me know.
No.
Be more decisive, please, Andrew.
It was supposed to be tonight, but because I'm so nice and caring, I came on this channel instead. But no, I was going to say that the World Cup's going to do us a favour in respect of getting players in, because they are going to want to get into their team as settled, so they can keep their World Cup, places in their international teams. I think a lot of the players are going to be wanting that. I think especially Saliba as well. He's going to be wanting to keep his place in the France team. There'll be loads of players like him who will want to hit the ground running next season to stay in the international frame. So hopefully that might help getting players in quicker. I know Melvin's got to go, so
yeah. And obviously, Sam, thanks for obviously coming on tonight and giving.
Thanks for having me, guys. Been nice.
If you're around,
Sam.
Sam, if you're around at the weekend, let me know and I'll bring you in for the stream. So I've got the Champions League on Saturday and
I might join you for the Champions League. Actually, that's a big game. I'll probably be around for that. So yeah, I'll probably join you for that.
Liverpool, Madrid. We could either be very. I'm gonna get into it on Saturday, sorry, but it could be very polarized because it's probably possibly the worst two teams UEFA could have wanted in the Champions League final because of what happened this time last year with the Super League, especially Real Madrid digging their heels in, and obviously Liverpool being part of it as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. Who pisses off UEFA a bit more by winning this thing? We'll see. As I say, we're covering that. We've got the Championship final. Was it Forest with Huddersfield on the Sunday, which is a weird one for a Championship playoff final, but it is what it is.
Just quickly, if you're not, then because obviously if you are, then I'll join it. But if you can do a watch along for the match tomorrow,
if you want to do that, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I thought we could be up for it, but yeah, I can do that.
Obviously we've got Tammy Abrahams who's going to be playing. We've got Reece Nelson's, and maybe Ainsley Maitland-Niles is as well.
What game is that tomorrow?
Roma v final.
Romas.
Roma's
finals.
So yeah, anyway, we'll touch base offline on that one because if you're not doing one, I might do one myself.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, Melvin, what have you got coming up? Were you on?
Nothing coming up. I'm dormant, mate. Dormant. No friend in the world, mate. No, I've got nothing coming up. I think Richard will probably be doing something at the end of the week. I don't know if I'm on that yet. I'm waiting to hear. I don't know why there's not anything on tonight with Richard, so there might be something on next Tuesday. I don't know, but we'll see. But thanks again for having me on. Always enjoy it.
Yeah,
always a pleasure, Melvin.
And we'll speak soon.
Definitely will. And for everyone in the chat, obviously, thanks for coming along in the chat and keeping everything active. Everything active to keep the chat active, not just to see it, but in the chat itself, and having a laugh along the way. Yeah, as I say, back on Saturday, keep saying it. And in terms of the podcast, throughout the summer, we'll keep it going in terms of the actual podcast. But when it's newsworthy, when it's something to actually talk about, basically, not just for the sake of it. But until then, guys, as always, up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners.
Come on, you Gunners.